So once we have the entire house frame assembled and all the individual walls joined before sewing the frame together, we should carefully make the windows and doors on all the walls. I haven't hidden all the yarn ends yet, but I did hide those that are related to the areas we'll be working on now. This is the big window and these are the doors, right? And this is one small window. The second one will be knitted in the same way so that the yarn ends don't get in the way. We'll move on and we'll start with the door first. This is the most involved part in terms of knitting these sections, but it actually knits up quite quickly. We'll need a thin 2mm cord, mine is white. Of course, you can experiment here and use other shades. And a size 3 crochet hook. You can actually use a 3.5 as well. I'll show the door a bit on the red house. Now we're going to crochet this part together using the same pattern, and then I'll show you how we'll crochet this part here. I have precise calculations here, but you might have a margin of error of 1 or 2 stitches because our crochet tension is different and you'll need to match this size so you'll be able to adjust it yourself. I'll show you how I do it and how I measure. Well, let's go step by step. For the red house, for the door, I cast on 9 chain stitches plus 1 turning chain. Now it's the same. The beginning is identical to the start of any particular side of our entire house. So in essence, everything is precisely the same as before. We always start with the initial fundamental slip knot. We then carefully cast on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stitches. Nine and 1 turning chain, 10. My foundation chain is not too tight. Next, we continue crocheting into the back loops, starting from the second one, 1, 2, we crochet here, 3, and the pattern is the same. 4. And 9. A turning chain and then continue following the pattern. So we should have 5 rows going up. Attach 3 there, 2, 3. Measure to make sure we fit our door opening because the gauge and all of that will play an important role here. So if it fits, we continue. If it doesn't, we redo it according to what we have. So let's do a couple of rows on our own, then we'll meet up, measure, and continue from there. Okay, I've done 2 rows. And we measure like this so that it fits nicely into the door opening in terms of width. I recrochet it here. I didn't change the stitch count, but I made it tighter. But I recommend not changing the stitch count, just leave it as is. However, that's not mandatory. In any case, you can adjust any stitch count here. We knit 5 rows like this, so I have, if you look from this side, 1, 2, 2.5, and from this side, a clear 2. You can choose any knit stitch here or follow along with me exactly as I do it. So, knit 5 rows and then we'll meet up and I'll show you how to knit the frame. Okay, look, I've knitted 5 rows. Here you can choose whichever side you like best. I like this one. The bottom row here isn't as tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here it turns out to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 sort of. And now we're going to knit the frame for our doors. Let's measure our doors so that they fit nicely. Basically, mine is fine.
It could have been a bit narrower, but it's fine.
And now we need to make a frame that's about 3 to 4 millimeters short of the top edge. So just a little shorter, but only slightly, not even half a centimeter. Although half a centimeter would work too, you can always add more later. How do you make the frame? Make a turning chain and insert the hook, following our pattern, under the first 2 bars. Grab the working yarn, make a stitch, and immediately make a turning chain. Turn your work and continue crocheting according to the pattern, finding the 2 bars that we need to work into. Pull through, make the stitch, and 1 turning chain. Turn your work and firmly grab the sturdy bars. Pull through, make the stitch and a turning chain. This is how we move upward. Carefully crocheting the very first door frame, meticulously and with great attention to detail. There isn't a set number of rows here. There is only our primary reference point, what specific kind of door we currently have, what particular kind of door opening, right? And we will then utilize those as our essential guide. I will now show you precisely how. So first find the bars, then make the stitch, and finally crochet very tightly. We continue working with the third hook, just like this. The turning chain has successfully completed its rotation, and at this precise moment we are now proceeding to carefully measure and assess the results of what we have meticulously achieved. Indeed, the turning chain has fully executed its intended turn. For the time being, and without the immediate involvement of the turning chain, let us now take a closer look and thoroughly examine the current situation. Let's try it on. Oh, right here I have, it's just a little bit too short at the very top. That is perfectly fine. We absolutely do not need to make a turning chain at this point, but rather we should carefully cut our yarn. And pay careful attention to precisely how your floats are positioned. If you have finished your work like this, then you will undoubtedly have floats here that will absolutely need to be caught and managed effectively if we were to continue working on this project further. So here they are, not on that side, but on this one. When knitting the second part, we will need to pay attention to this, because later we will be joining them together, so that everything connects nicely. So you stopped at this point, which means you fixed it for yourself and cut your yarn. You can carefully tuck it behind this sturdy bridge here, for example, like this, very neatly and securely, without burning anything at all yet, just so it absolutely doesn't get in the way or cause any obstruction. And now we start knitting from here. We take our next yarn tail. We insert the hook, let me remind you, not into the last 2, but into the second to last one. We need to make this chain stitch, right? We do it like this. Next, we insert the hook under the next 2. Pull it through, crochet, and make a turning chain. And now from this side, we continue the same way, crocheting the pattern with just 1 stitch around. And we'll stop in a way that lets us continue smoothly to join our doors together. Let's just take a quick look here now. It's kind of like, if I crochet one more, it'll probably be too much. Yes, one more time. It'll probably be too much. Let's see. See, I crocheted a bit more. If you compare it, it seems about the same. Well, it also depends a lot on the knitting density, and you can tighten these little things. I leave it like this. So I finished the same way as this one here. My working loop is sort of on this side. Yes, I make a turning chain. I turn around and now I join these parts together. I had 9 basic stitches. So I knit 1 double crochet, 7 chain stitches, and I also knit the last double crochet. We will have 9 tethers in total. 1, I count everything. 1. Next, we will perform 7 air loops. 1, 2, 3, 7. And we put the last tether into this frame, as it were, where we have 2 jumpers. Oh, they knitted according to the pattern. Oh, we made a lifting loop. So far, it looks unremarkable. We turn around and knit according to the pattern. There are 2 jumpers located in the very first column. Yes. Next, we have these familiar chain stitches, and we knit them in precisely the same way by working through the back loops, just like we successfully did in the frame of our charming little house. So you can see that it's exactly the same consistent pattern here. We crochet them with single crochets, inserting the hook under the back loop of the chain, under the top, under the back, however it looks to you. That's how you crochet it. 7th, and here we join the frame according to the pattern. There we go, there we go. Let's measure it. Can we leave it at this level? Yes, we can. Mine is a little tight. This part can also be adjusted. You can redo it so it's not so tight. Look, well, here it is finally. Now I will try to carefully crochet just 1 more complete row so that it's much denser and more substantial here, right at this particular spot. You can attach it or not, it's up to you. I'm making a turning chain just to secure our frame, and then I continue crocheting according to the pattern. Just like that, with the top pieces. No extra stitches for these newly formed bridges of ours. Just like we did on the main frame. We have the same situation here. Then this pattern will expand upward in this natural way. It will eventually reach the size we truly need. But you can leave it like this. The most important consideration is that you are completely satisfied with its aesthetic appearance and visual appeal, and that it is correctly and securely installed within the designated door opening, ensuring a perfect and snug fit. Now let's see how mine turns out. My last ones are very, very tight indeed. Right here they are indeed incredibly tight and snug, but despite the difficulty I am still able to locate and successfully find them. I poke through. This is how we make the turning chains. Turn to the right side. Here are our doors. Then we'll make a nice corner. Here are our beautiful doors available now. I'm definitely leaving it like this. Here it also fits better in terms of width. And it holds firmly here. I cut off the working thread. I hide it. You can use this one. Let's try it. Look which one to use. Not the first bar, but the second one below. And don't tighten it, just gently thread it through. And we'll leave them at the back. we'll sew them on later. All these ends will be hidden at the back. Now we need to make crossbars here, like a beautiful window in our doors. They are crafted simply with connecting chains, just a simple chain stitch. Let's begin with this particular part. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and finally 7. So on the fourth one, let's count them out carefully. 1, 2, 3, the very fourth chain link. We will carefully and precisely insert our hook right here. You can put the hook completely under it or just under one bar, for example. The little house is facing us, the door is facing us from the front side. Let's insert it under one braid. Take the working yarn, and this is indeed important. Now we've pulled it through. This is important. Don't stretch the loops, make them short and all the same size so it looks nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm carefully holding this tail right here so it absolutely doesn't slip out for now. And then we have 5, and then 6, 6, 7. Let's do 8 and see what we have. 8, tighten it here because it's not fixed yet. 8 is not enough. One more. 9. There you go. Pulled it through. We'll cut and secure it. Secure it in the middle as well to some back bar. You can hook it in right here, for example. Yes, somewhere around here. I suggest just eyeballing it here. Oh, look, these crossbars here are good. Here you see these ones, one and the other. Well, it's kind of in the middle, but let's see. So you just take this tail and put it here. Tighten it up and let's just see what we've got here. What do we have? Straighten it out. The door is crooked. We need to shift it a bit over here. Let's carefully observe and see precisely what happens if we meticulously move it over to this particular position here. We have securely tightened it both here and also over here. Oh, perfect. Now we need to sew this up. I'll secure it like this as well so it doesn't come out now. And secure it here too so it doesn't come out, because it's important that it holds. There are a lot of ends here, but the braid can always be tightened, which is very good. And we start from the left, or rather from right to left. We start making the second braid, knitting this one. I'll show you. We also roughly find the middle. I always do it by eye. So I see this little bridge here. You see this one on the side, a vertical one on the side. So I have 1, 2, 3 of them. 4, 5, 6. There isn't really a center here, but under this bridge, the third one from the top, you can insert it like this. Find the thread that feels comfortable for you to insert under, so that it's in the middle. This part is quite creative and there are no strict rules here. Pull out a loop and knit. That's it, right? We keep our history. 1, 2, 3 number. Next, I think you can tie a chain right here in the middle. You start the link inside. They grabbed it and immediately knitted all the loops. Here we have 3, and we are knitting 3 more. 1, 2, 2, and 3. We pull out the working yarn. And right here, directly opposite to our current position, we carefully and precisely insert the component underneath a designated structural bar. This insertion involves placing either one or possibly 2 of these specific items, ensuring they are securely positioned beneath the bar for proper function and stability. First, it will just look neater right here. I bring it in roughly to the center. And I pull it tighter. No, it doesn't look good, it doesn't look nice. Then, let's proceed and do it like this, girls. Here, we carefully pull this small little tail out of the loop, just like this. We then gently turn the hook. Shape. And one more. And like this, we've brought it in where we intended to. We carefully pushed this one back, then gently grabbed it and meticulously tied it together, just like a beautiful braid. It truly looks much neater and more organized this way. And you can also bring this small, delicate little tail right here, see? But make sure it's not inside the main braid itself, more like positioned gracefully outside of it. Hold it tight. And here's your door frame. If you remove all the little tails, this is how it looks. Of course, it's very important to do this as neatly as possible, yes? Because after all, this particular kind of decorative decor is quite miniature in scale. And in fact, your beautifully crafted door is now completely ready for display. I carefully sewed them to this particular part, utilizing the remaining ends I had. However, they are now quite short. So let's effectively hide these ends and then proceed to sew them on separately. That will look neater. With the windows, everything is much simpler. Let's move on to the large window, which will also have a frame. The small windows will only have an edging. The edging is also very simple. We start from the corner. This is the lower left one. We just find it, just insert into the corner. Like this. I also used a size 3 hook. You can use a 3.5 as well. Pull the loop completely through, and now I will carefully do it like this so that it focuses much better for you to see. Now the decorative edging will be meticulously done with slip stitches, working along these prominent vertical bars that are clearly visible. Here they are. They're very easy to see here. It's easy to insert the hook, everything is as simple as possible. These crossbars, they're just a lifesaver in this little house. And they're very convenient for doing all these manipulations. We insert the hook under the first vertical, grab the working yarn and pull through the first loop. The loop should be pulled up so that they're tall. They should precisely and accurately fit within the designated space that is located between the 2 distinct vertical crossbars. Insert under the next one. Grab the working yarn. Hooked it. Grab the working yarn. Pulled it through. We'll have 2 rows of edging, so all the beige will be covered. Again. The loop isn't small, grab it. Pulled it completely through, carefully and steadily, ensuring it was fully extended. He quickly reached out and firmly grabbed the object, securing it tightly in his grasp with a decisive motion. Pulled it through, inserted under the crossbar, grabbed it, pulled it through, inserted under the crossbar, grabbed it, tied it. Here, if you don't have one, but I have a crossbar here, grabbed it, tied it. Here you can go into the corner, but there into the back crossbars like this, sort of like this. turned around. Here we also have crossbars. Here they are, right here. We thread it through each one. There, pulled it through. These braids can be a bit smaller. Threaded it in, pulled it out, pulled it through because the crossbars are closer to each other. That's how you move along. So right here into the corner, then carefully turn it again, those vertical crossbars. We've now reached the very last vertical stitch in the corner. We turn around. And here we have the crossbars. You see we have braids here. Insert the hook under the back bar of the braid. We've inserted it under the back bar of this braid. This one. Inserted carefully, then grabbed and finally pulled through. Next, carefully insert, then firmly grab and gently pull through. First insert the item, then grab it firmly and finally pull it completely through. Carefully insert, then grab securely and tie off. This is precisely how we ultimately finish, with great care and attention. Here you can easily insert another bar, just like this example. This part will be covered with snow, so it won't be visible. So this spot here. It's not very neat here, but it will be covered up. And we repeat the second row of edging. We insert the hook under the first chain. The white one, right? Under this outer bar. Insert, pull through. Now under the second one, insert, pull through. Third, you will insert and then gently pull through. Fourth and then the fifth in a series of important steps are now complete. Then sixth, seventh, and all the way around. I won't do the whole process on camera, so you get the idea. You should have this second row of edging all the way around. We'll finish here together and then make the bars. Okay, we've reached the end. We now crochet the last bar and then pull it through. Our little tail. We can carefully tuck it in right there, precisely where all of this other important stuff is located. Let's see how that looks. Again, I truly want to draw your careful attention to the significant fact that this particular spot will be completely covered with snow. Please do not pay any attention to this small, bare spot. And now, let's then make the crossbars next. On the window, just like we did on the door. Insert the hook in the middle. Now let me take a look. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I want it not here, but over here. Visually, this looks more like the center to me. You insert the hook. No, that won't work either. I'll insert the hook right here in the middle. I'll pierce through a few more loops to make sure I get right into the center. Look here. Do as you like best. You can simply grab the working yarn behind the bar and pull through the first loop. And we move upward, making a continuous chain of delicate air loops, carefully keeping each of the individual loops precisely the same size throughout the entire process. I can't manage to hold this one that's slipping out. Like this. I'm not counting anything at all. Everything here is being done purely by eye and based entirely on visual context and my own judgment. I realized that this thing needs to be fixed somehow because it's annoying me. So for now you can just tuck this tail in somewhere. And tuck it in so that it doesn't stick out. Now I'll carefully twist it. Because it's impossible to braid this plait properly with it in the way. Alright, that's it. Now everything is completely good and in order. And now if I look at it, I like how it's turning out. It's really coming out from the center. So I just pierced right in the very center and I'm moving carefully with the needle, smoothly. Yes, I am carefully checking myself, ensuring there are absolutely no mistakes at all. It's already comfortable. No, I still need one or two more. Alright, let's see. I've smoothed it out. Let's see. It's a bit too big. If I do it like this, oh, that's nice. And now I'm piercing right in the middle. This little part right here. And the final touch, the knot. I'm making sure it's right in the center. Alright, good. Now you can cut off the tip and tuck it right in there, into the middle, like this. You grab it. Let me show you. You catch it and tuck it in there. And that's how it turns out. Next, we move from right to left, just like we did with the doors. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'll tuck it in here as well. Just like this, straight in. See? With the ends tucked in. I grab the working end. Let's see what this thread will look like. How it's going to look now. And I make a knot. 1. I don't secure it just yet, so I can currently see exactly where I am. Not in the middle. I took it a bit too high. Alright, then. If I take it right here, I'll just twist the crossing. It's important to find the center. At least some approximate center. Yes. This already wants to stick out. Oh, this is the center. So I secure this end because it's starting to annoy me too. Okay, now let's get back to some serious knitting. I've attached 2 and then 3 separate items. So the fourth one goes carefully inside, deep inside our intricate braid, you see? And it's a crucial step in the process. This one here, and then 3 more. 1, 2, 3. 3. Let me just quickly check. 3. Alright, now I'll connect it with the braid opposite, for example, like this. I'll see if it's okay or not. Not bad, you know, not bad at all. Like this. I've joined it. And tucked it in right here. Or like this. See how I tucked it back. And this is how the frame looks. Of course, we sew everything here. And the snow. I still have some leftovers here from before, from the little red house. The snow, it's all actually very simple. We move from right to left, taking a slightly larger hook. And just like this, from the corner, from this point, I can, as if, make a little rise here. Grab your fancy yarn. Here you can use boucle yarn, or really anything at all that can resemble snow. And with the same slip stitches, not too tightly, you attach it under the frame. That is, under this distinct white line, you carefully attach it, making slip stitches in this particular manner. But with this fancy yarn, in any order you like, there's no need to be precise about which bars you need to grab. And here you can also precisely control the tension, specifically how you gently pull the working thread. There are absolutely no specific. The rules are right here for you to see. Exactly like this, just like that. Right here, where our corner isn't very neat, you just tie it off like this too. That's it. The snowflake is ready. Pull the thread out and hide it inside. Then hide it inside. And your little window is ready too. Now let's move on to the smallest windows. They are made using the same principle, just without this frame. We'll make one together and the rest are done the same way. And we will carefully make the small window in precisely the same way as before. Then you should insert the sturdy hook into the bottom left corner, making sure it is securely placed. Take our working yarn and then crochet slip stitches carefully over the vertical bars, creating a neat and finished edge. There will also be 2 rows of edging. Here we have these horizontal bars. It's like this, they actually face a little bit backwards, creating a unique visual effect. Here I won't give any special explanations, everything is done the same way. But I want to show it so you can see. Thank you. So, into any convenient and easily accessible loop, you can then turn around and subsequently start working on the second row of your project. Yes. With simple slip stitches. Here too, the pristine white snow will completely cover our surroundings. Our unsightly corner. We'll do it precisely like this here as well, and then pull it completely through. Cut the working yarn and pull it into the corner. Just like that. Here are our windows. I insert the hook and hide it. I carefully crochet the delicate snow and then proceed to hide this specific part of the creation. And here under the white frame you make the edging. You don't need to tighten it here. I want to draw your attention to the fact that the snow here should be fluffy. That is, it should look shaggy. Here I carefully tied the corner as if I had done it twice in order to hide it really well. I honestly don't know if I overdid it, perhaps a little too much. But I think not. And I just simply pull it back. Everything is good, just as it should be. And here one of our little windows is ready. And we edge all the other windows the same way. We hide the ends. I've carefully tucked in all of the loose ends, and now with great precision we will securely attach this charming little door to our beautifully crafted miniature house. We'll make some slots so it looks like they can actually open. You'll just simply need to take a piece, say, about 20 centimeters long. A thin cord. And now we'll make the first slot at the top. You can even make 3 slots. For example, here at the top, I leave a 1 centimeter gap. I thread. The hook under one of the outermost crossbars. This end goes this way. 1 loop and over here. Into the exact right spot, precisely where the door is located. Well, here I actually have it, so I also carefully pull it from the inside to the outside and the other end. Yeah, so here my second end actually came out like this, as you can clearly see. So both of the ends are now positioned here at the back, securely in place. There you go. And before my join was less neat, but here you can't see it at all. Looks good too. You can just tie it here, by the way, and leave it as a bow. Or you could sew it down. For now, I'll leave it as a bow. We'll see. Just the bow. Not too much. So that it doesn't stick out anywhere. Yeah, so it doesn't poke out. And let's do, for example, one more spot right here at the bottom. If needed, we can add a third one. We're looking for the simplest options, so it's not too draining energetically. So it doesn't wear you out, since there are a lot of details. We'll find the bridge at the very bottom. Brought it over here. and we will carefully thread it into the appropriate and correct place on the base. Like this. Right here, we'll thread it in like this. But it keeps popping out on me. Here, I've carefully threaded it in and then spread it apart. Like this. There we go now. I tied it securely and then I carefully made a neat little bow. That's it for now. I'll just leave it as a decorative bow for the time being, and later on I'll see. If it happens to get in the way or becomes bothersome, I can simply and easily sew it down permanently. And here are your doors. This is how they look. We'll also have a wreath here. If there's something you don't like, if something is crooked, you can hide it with some decor. That's what I did with the doors on the red house. And that's it, basically. This is how your doors look. So girls, our house walls are ready. The edges are hemmed. This is how it looks. Let's go over the measurements one more time. Mine turned out to be 17 by 18 by 17 by 18. Give or take 5 millimeters. Here. It's about 17 by 8.5. 17 by 8.5. Approximately. We just have the floor left to do. It's all very simple. We chain 26 stitches and crochet a rectangle, which will be measured and evaluated in the following manner and procedure. 17 by 17, yes indeed, 17 by 17. So a 17 by 17 rectangle. I'll start knitting it with you, but it's clear to everyone that we're knitting it according to the pattern. That is, there's no exact number of rows here, everyone will have their own. But you cast on 26 plus 1 turning chain. If you had decreases here, then you knit. You cast on 26. But for the length, you knit this length that you have on the side wall. Let's start this process. We'll start together and then you'll continue on your own. As before, we start with a slip knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 26 stitches and a turning chain, so we are primarily focusing on this particular width of 26 stitches. We turn around at the chains and crochet the first row, starting from the second chain, making 26 single crochets, and then continue following the pattern. I won't repeat this process again because the pattern has already been perfected on the 4 sides, so all you need to do is crochet a rectangle. Some of you will have a rectangle, some a square. And we'll meet again. You can go ahead and sew the ends together, tuck in the tails, and we'll meet up once we have all 5 pieces ready and start assembling our house. So keep working on your own and we'll meet again when the floor is finished. Here is the floor I ended up with. It's 17 centimeters wide and about 17.5 centimeters long. By the way, the marker unfortunately broke, so we are now carefully removing all of the markers. Now it's perfectly clear where our facade is. Here's the inner side of the wall. My markers broke. So now we have 5 distinct pieces of material ready to go. These individual fabric parts will be carefully sewn onto this larger central piece in order to meticulously repeat the intricate pattern. And the same goes for the wall. And that's it. Well, just like that. And in this particular instance, and here our sides will go precisely like this. And I also carefully hid the ends. Here's my front side. I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 rows. Let me remind you, if you have fewer here, you knit the rows according to how many you have, depending on your side panel. That is, for example, if your side panel looks like this, then your base should look like this as well. Well, that's clear. All right, let's move on to sewing. So the careful sewing of the entire house will be meticulously done in such a precise way that all of the individual parts are consistently facing us with their correct and proper right side. That is to say, in the very center, we have our main floor element, which meticulously follows the established pattern. According to this precise pattern, we carefully cast on 26 individual stitches. This crucial floor piece is then strategically placed directly opposite our other significant parts, specifically where the roof structure and the gradual tapering sections are located precisely right. And the specific side part of the structure, where we have the neatly arranged rows of elements, is positioned directly adjacent to the main side walls. Well, that's a general description, roughly speaking. You can also see this in the pattern. Now, first we will carefully sew our floor all the way around in a complete circle, just like this, and then, subsequently, each individual wall. The sewing is not complicated. I truly think that I've discovered a simply brilliant and innovative stitch that makes this particular project, first and foremost, physically easy to execute, and secondly, incredibly quick and wonderfully straightforward to complete. So that you can sew around like this and have enough thread, and ideally so that you have enough for at least one more side. Yes. So when you're preparing for this, you'll need a good length of cord. I'd recommend taking about 3 meters to start with, or at least be fully prepared for the possibility that you might have to add more later on. It's always better to have a little extra than not enough, so you might need to take another, perhaps a second additional cord if the first one isn't sufficient. Of course, 3 meters might seem like a lot, and it could potentially be too much for your specific needs, but that's the exact length I personally cut for myself when I did this. So let's go ahead and cut it to that length now, ensuring we have plenty to work with for this project. I'll put this aside for now since we won't be showing everything on camera anyway. Next, this little end, which we'll be constantly using to pierce the walls of our little house, needs to be sewn here so it doesn't unravel, because if you burn it, it'll keep snagging. That's super inconvenient. We sew in this end, like this. What we are doing here is just connecting these individual loops that are already present to each other. You have the complete freedom to do this in an absolutely random manner. The most important thing, the main objective, is to ensure that you connect them all together, forming a cohesive structure. I never make knots. You just need to secure it firmly together, and then that's essentially it. One more time, that's it. Cut it off. Now nothing here will unravel or get caught. I have a metal needle. I really like it for stitching the parts of the house together. It's just what I need. That's it. And of course, it's not exactly convenient or particularly easy when the cord itself is very thick and substantial, but you can certainly deal with it, so to speak. Take 2 distinct pieces, specifically the floor section and any adjacent wall. It's generally best to start with the one where you already have this particular roof part securely in place. Sew it from the right side, meaning the right side of the floor is facing us. The right side is facing us. The wall of the house. On the floor, on one side we have braids, on the other side we have bars. See? Like this. We will sew through these. In the house we have bars right here. Everything is as simple as possible. You insert the needle under the outermost bar of the floor, for example, and pull it through. Making sure that you don't get any knots here. Yes, leave a tail. It will all be hidden later. Next, here we also find the outermost, the corner bar. Found it, inserted the needle and bring it out to the next one on the floor. Now I'll make it bigger. Bring it out next on the floor. Yes. This tail can still be dealt with here. Pull it tight, but it's not necessary because we will come back to this spot and we'll be stitching in this direction as well. So for now, there's no need to be too meticulous about it. Next, we find the next IE, the horizontal one, right? On the ear wall of the little house, and then the next horizontal one on the floor. That is when you have it lying like this. Your pieces are laid out and it's convenient to stitch. Everything is clearly visible and it's not difficult. Physically, it's quite very easy. Again. Yes, that is correct. Is it clear how we are moving through this process? So we carefully connect each subsequent bridge with consistent, regular stitches. Like this, and we continue to keep moving steadily toward the far corner now. Now I will show it a little bit more clearly from this particular position. Perhaps it will be much clearer for someone viewing it this way. Oops, like that. We're moving toward the corner. Next, we'll do the transition together. Okay, we've reached the corner. We stitch. We meticulously and carefully stitch each individual piece together with precision. So at the very corner, what exactly can we do about this situation? Here we can go in twice, bring it in a second time here, and then start to pull it out right here behind the outermost bar. We now meticulously transition our focus and attention to the side wall, carefully rotating the piece to ensure optimal positioning. As for the intricate and precise process of sewing on these particular components and various parts, we will proceed with utmost care, ensuring each stitch is perfectly aligned and securely fastened to guarantee the structural integrity and aesthetic appeal of the final product. This detailed sewing operation requires a steady hand and keen eye, as we attach each element with precision and dedication, making sure every seam is robust and flawlessly executed, contributing to the overall quality and durability of the item. There are prominent vertical crossbars located on the side wall and also on the floor surface. We will be carefully sewing along each and every one of them. I have meticulously counted 21 individual crossbars on the floor. However, upon closer inspection on the wall itself, there are a total of 26 distinct crossbars. Consequently, we are faced with a noticeable mismatch of precisely 5 crossbars, which we will simply have to skip over on this particular part of the project, or alternatively, we will sew twice on this specific one. For example, right here, these 2 crossbars are sewn directly onto this single one. Do you understand this concept? Now, let's get started with this process, and as we proceed, everything will become clearer. We carefully locate a suitable corner crossbar right here. While it might not be perfectly vertical, its position is incredibly convenient for us to precisely pierce through. And at this juncture, we turn our workpiece horizontally, ensuring optimal access and stability. Yes, and here's an important thing to consider. If you pierce directly through the cord, it has a strong tendency to snag quite frequently afterwards, causing potential delays. This is a common issue. Like this, we observe the potential for snagging. Next, we diligently search for and find another one of these essential crossbars, positioned strategically here. By the way, I am fortunate to have several of these crossbars arranged in a convenient row right here, which proves to be exceptionally practical and efficient. This arrangement allows for a smoother workflow, so I will carefully thread through each of them for now, one after the other, and then proceed to sew each section individually. Okay, moving on to the next step. Here, I have a component that looks something like this, a specific piece designed for this purpose. I will carefully thread it through the designated opening. For instance, I can meticulously sew this particular section, ensuring it is securely attached, and then, with precision, hang it in its intended position. Following that, I will thread the cord or material here, guiding it through this specific point, and then, continuing the process, thread it once more here, completing this segment of the assembly. So, the needle, and then again into the next one. I'll show you now so you understand what I mean. So it's clear. Here, and then I go back into it again, but I stitch through this one. This is one of the ways to sew it on. The second one. There can be a second way. I'll show you now. Here, we check to make sure it's okay. So you might need to tighten it a little. And here, you can also do it like this. That is, you stitch through this one, yes. Let's sew a couple using the regular method, and then I'll show you another one. But since here my current supply is getting a little bit short, this particular method will be much better for my needs. And you can stitch through this one and skip here because we have more loops here. You skip one and go into the next. But I won't do that. I'm just showing you how it can be done. I'll keep going the same way. I'll just stitch like this. So let's move over here. We'll meet here again too. I'll show you how to do it here. Basically, everything is done the same way, but I'll go through it, of course. And soon we'll sew the bottom to the base. So we've just about reached the corner a little bit. Here we just do it, a simple stitch. And then we move on to this part. We go into the corner. It's best to tuck in some kind of corner piece. Then all these parts fit better right here. Like this. Our corner. Next, you can carefully tuck it in from underneath. Look closely, we have a distinct braid here. Do you see the intricate braid? But instead, let's proceed to stitch along the sturdy crossbars. We bring out the first bar. And this is precisely how we are going to turn this particular bar on your screen. Whoa. Yes. Something like that. Looks fine. And we keep going. To the bars. To the corresponding bars right here. It's all easy here and the number matches up. Well, even if something doesn't match somewhere, that can happen. It's not critical at all. You can just skip it or knit it twice. Either way, we keep going. Over here, in this particular spot, the very same way as it is presented here, we will begin working together and then subsequently we will carefully sew on these pieces. Corners. And we have now indeed reached the very last and final part of this presentation. sew. These outermost bars, we sew them. Next, we can turn it over here, and once again we have it. We take we will carefully position our sturdy side wall, ensuring it is properly aligned, and then securely attach it to the main structure, making sure it is firmly in place. And here into the corresponding bars. We knit, we sew on all our wall. Everything is done the same way as here. Here too we have a mismatch in the stitches. There are about 5 more here. So what you really need to do is carefully distribute them so that you can sew it on very evenly and precisely, ensuring a perfect and professional finish. Your side wall. We move on our own steadily to the very end. We meet right here, precisely at this spot. Please do not cut anything at all, because it is right here that we will be able to effectively bring out this particular part. Let's go then. We've successfully reached the very corner, and right here I currently have the last bridge. I sew it on like this. And then we can already move on to the wall. I recommend immediately sewing in and hiding this tail. There will be edges and it will be problematic to get to it later. So we sew it in right away, hide it and sew it. It only takes a couple of brief minutes, but it effectively solves a truly important issue. Yes, tighten it so everything is neat everywhere. And we sew it in like this. And that's it. This particular issue is now fully resolved, with absolutely nothing else remaining here. Next, we will continue working with the same thread. It's also very convenient to join the walls of the house using these vertical bars. These vertical bars should line up directly opposite each other, 10 rows up to the point where you start decreasing. Pay attention to this and check it right away. Here, if needed, you can make a preliminary connection, not directly into these bars, but sort of into the corners somehow. Alright, here are my bars like this. Now I'll insert into them and check to close this up. Corner. Oh, that's fine. Next, here are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items. Each one of these carefully selected components is essential for the task at hand. At this specific level, it should be securely sewn on right here, ensuring a strong and lasting attachment. Well, give or take, of course, you can catch it a little bit. And we meticulously find the vertical bridges just like that, and by direct analogy, we carefully sew them on in precisely the same manner, exactly as before. We carefully sew the individual walls together. Everything here is truly very simple and straightforward.
Assembling this entire house is even much easier than knitting it just like that, with remarkable ease. Like this, in a perfectly straight line, vertically aligned. Now, I caught it. All right, one more time. I want to catch on. But there's very, very little stitching here at all, in fact. Sewing on our walls is all very simple and straightforward to accomplish. Here is my very last vertical bridge, and here I have the final long horizontal one. And of course, you can even do it twice here to secure it more firmly in place. Pull it inside. Your cord. This is precisely how it will be carefully sewn together for you. Here is the actual corner of your house. Here we pull down the thread. We hide it, sew it in. I'm not doing this on camera. Next, I still have some thread left, so I'll continue with it. Here, I'll burn it a bit. Although, by the way, you don't have to do this. I'll explain why in a moment. Now we start sewing from the corner upwards, each wall like this, in the same way. I'll start one with you, then do the rest on my own, following the same method as this one. For example, when we carefully sew this particular piece, you can immediately and securely fasten the cord by precisely threading it underneath the stitch, but please make absolutely sure it doesn't get tangled or snagged here at this crucial point, so that it ultimately goes through smoothly and without any obstruction. Let's see now if it goes through for me, or if it doesn't because I might have pierced it here, or maybe it's just very easy to pierce here. In that particular scenario, it is advisable to execute the process in a distinctly different manner. Commencing from the interior, meticulously thread the material underneath the designated corner bridge, ensuring it passes through in any suitable fashion onto the main cord. It is crucial to intentionally leave a sufficient length of tail, as we will promptly conceal this excess portion. Subsequently, at this specific juncture, we will firmly and securely fasten the corner, ensuring its stability and proper positioning. So then, here's the meticulously crafted corner, precisely formed and securely positioned, and then, with careful attention to detail, we smoothly transition and move on to the construction and attachment of the robust vertical bridges. Regarding the tail, specifically the part that I inadvertently singed or slightly damaged during the previous step, it is unequivocally and absolutely better, in fact highly recommended, to completely cut it off. This is because, if left as is, it will prove to be exceedingly inconvenient, cumbersome, and quite challenging to effectively and neatly hide the tail now, given its current state and the intricate nature of the work. Therefore, we proceed to carefully and skillfully hide the tail, ensuring it is completely concealed from view, and immediately, without delay, we meticulously sew it under the binding, integrating it seamlessly into the fabric. During this process, we are actively and diligently looking for a perfectly convenient, accessible, and aesthetically pleasing spot for this crucial step. Oh, and with a stroke of luck and keen observation, we have indeed found one that meets all our criteria. We then proceed to securely sew it in with precision, carefully trim any excess material to ensure a clean finish, and finally, with utmost care and accuracy, stitch it firmly and centrally into the very heart of the piece, ensuring its stability and overall integrity. And now we shall continue our meticulous sewing journey along the various vertical bridges that will inevitably appear in our intricate path. So, let us observe carefully. Here, you can clearly see my very first vertical bridge, and right here, you will find the second distinct vertical one. Now we carefully tighten it so that the corner doesn't awkwardly dangle. And again, here are the two important verticals, one on this side and the other on that side. We keep moving forward, yes. In precisely the same manner, we carefully stitch together each individual pair of walls. Just like this. We'll tuck the ends under the neck and our body will be ready. All that's left is the roof and then the decor. That's it, let's go. So when you've sewn all the walls together, your body will look like this. We'll tuck the ends under the necks. I'll do that a bit later. And now we need to make the roof. The roof will consist of two parts, which will go like this and be sewn together in the center. They are crocheted from this 3mm cord. Here it is, white in color to imitate snow, combined with the fantasy yarn Knit Me. In this case, it's Anakuzusu. This is 100 grams, 100 meters. That's just enough for the roof and the snowy base that goes in front of the house. And also for this decor here. I just had some leftovers, but otherwise this amount is enough for everything. And there's even some delightful snow left over for, say, making snowballs, for example. So we are carefully knitting like this all together in a cohesive manner, connecting two cords, two parts of the roof. Now I'll explain how we do this. We take a size 4 hook. We are going to carefully make our initial starting loop with two distinct strands of yarn, ensuring a secure and proper foundation. Just like we always do, we tighten it like this. And now we need to crochet not according to the pattern, but with regular single crochet stitches, making 26 chain stitches plus 1 turning chain, and we crochet tightly. And you will have, well, thanks to this strand, a slight widening. It's acceptable, about 3 centimeters, maybe 4. If your expansion is much greater, either knit more tightly or cast on fewer stitches. This yarn is quite fancy, you need to get used to it, it tends to get tangled. So pay attention to that. So we will carefully cast on 1, 2, and quite tightly 3. Then we continue with 4, 5, and 6 stitches, making sure each one is secure and evenly spaced. 25, 26, a turning chain 27. You can count the stitches here in principle, but it's a bit difficult. Well, here you do it by feel. 1, 2, 3. As you place your finger, you can feel them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. That's correct. Next, we insert the hook just under the top bar. It looks like this. So here you have the braids. It's a bit shiny for me. Let me adjust it like this. Here are your braids, right? You need to insert under the top bars a bit by feel, I would say. You've pulled out the working loop, which consists of 2 strands, and now crochet 2 loops on the hook together. So these are the same single crochet stitches, just worked with snow-like fantasy yarn. Find the next bar. Yarn over, now you have 2 loops on the hook, crochet the third. Let me zoom in a little bit more now. Alright, once again, find the very next stitch, yarn over your hook, and then carefully crochet it through. And always try your absolute best to crochet quite tightly so that our roof doesn't sag or become loose. So you have successfully found the very next stitch, yarn over your hook, and then carefully crochet it through. Again, the next one. Yarn over, then carefully crochet it through the loop. And continue the same way. Crochet it. Again, the next one. Visually, they're not very noticeable, but if you run your finger over them, you can feel a braid or a tight cord. And that's how you help yourself. This is how we move to the end of the row. We'll meet there later. Let's go a little bit further along this path, and then At that point, we will accurately figure out the precise width of our roof on our own, just like that, exactly. I've almost reached the end. Here I have 1, 2, 1, 2. I still need to carefully attach 2 more stitches, and the third one, which I will locate by feel, is our foundational knot. And I want to specifically comment that it's much too early to accurately measure the overall width of this piece right now. Yes, later on, you will definitely measure this particular part by carefully placing it exactly like this, ensuring precision and accuracy in your crafting process. But it will still expand. Knit at least 2 more rows and then measure. This particular section absolutely needs to be considerably wider than these other components, specifically your primary side wall, and in conjunction with that, these prominent front walls. The crucial question is, why is this design choice so fundamentally important and necessary? Because your roof needs something to rest on. It should fit nicely here. So let me show you how we continue knitting. We will now make a turning chain and then carefully turn our work. Now, we're not dealing with any slip stitches or those tricky bars, but rather with the foundational chains themselves. Watch closely. Here we have chains. So we've turned our work and we insert the hook under them, yarn over with the working yarn and pull through. Here's the next important chain that we need to consider. Insert the hook, pull through, and crochet tightly. Insert the hook, pull through. We continue like this until the end of the row. At the end of the row, make a turning chain, turn your work, and continue in the same way. Let's meet at the end of the row. Let's go through it together one more time. Let's measure the length. If everything's okay, there's no need to redo it, so we leave it as is. I'll tell you how far up we're going. Let's go. I've carefully crocheted exactly 2 complete rows, and then I have meticulously made the necessary turning chains, subsequently turned my work around, and once again, I am diligently crocheting individual single crochets directly under these previously formed chains. Let's carefully knit just 1 more row and then accurately measure to see precisely what kind of result we ultimately get. But 3 full rows have now been carefully knitted, and as I meticulously look at my work, yes, mine is indeed laying very nicely and smoothly, so it will still gently stick out by approximately about a full centimeter here, just as intended. The width is suitable. You should also check how yours is turning out. And each of these individual parts, which we are carefully creating, should be precisely the right length. Now, each of these specific parts that we are meticulously knitting, and there should indeed be 2 distinct sections of them, needs to accurately and perfectly match the entire length of this particular edge, ensuring a seamless and correct fit. So there are 2 parts that should be precisely the length of this particular edge, or perhaps even a little bit longer, so that they can effectively overlap and then stick out a bit beyond the edge. So we will knit 2 such identical blanks, exactly like this one, right? After the first one, I'll show you precisely how we bind off. That is to say, we don't cut this yarn, we cut this one instead. But for this particular one, you'll need a few more meters to bind off the knitting right here so that the finished edge looks nice and neat. But after I meticulously finish knitting this particular one, I will definitely show this entire step on camera, and you too can easily do precisely the same by following this analogy. So let's enthusiastically go. Let's just keep moving forward with our project, and we will certainly meet again very soon. All right, I am now diligently finishing up the intricate roof of this charming little house. I've already knitted 1 part. Now I'll show you how we finish, how we complete it. We're also adding a border using just this furry yarn, yes, and then we'll sew these 2 parts together. I'll explain how to do that as well. Here's one of the crucial and intricately designed pieces. Look closely. Here is one of the essential roof parts, specifically crafted for this structure. If I carefully and precisely place it right here, it effectively and completely covers the entire roof section in this particular manner, ensuring a perfect fit and comprehensive protection.
is a little higher here on top, about 1 centimeter higher. And here as well, it's 1.5 to 2 centimeters higher. That's so the roof sits nicely. The second part is exactly the same size. And how do we finish? Here we have the last stitch. We don't touch the loop of the fancy yarn for now. We can pull it out a little. And this one, we pull the cord out and cut off the tip. And now for our work, we are left with only our fantasy yarn. We then make a turning chain and carefully turn the entire work around. And we crochet another row tightly. With this particular yarn, I absolutely do not need to change the hook. Here, you can comfortably crochet as tightly or as loosely as you personally prefer, and you can even work 2 individual stitches or perhaps crochet 2 stitches together into just one single chain, primarily because our chosen yarn is now significantly much thinner. We can carefully crochet this small, delicate cord in, first and foremost, to protect it completely from any potential unraveling, and secondly, we meticulously crochet it securely inside, just like this example demonstrates. And I do it twice in each stitch, so it looks nice and full here. And we continue like this to the very end of this entire row, crocheting exclusively and only with the beautiful fancy yarn. See you at the end. We'll sew the roof together, and then all that's left is the decoration. I've crocheted the trim with the fancy yarn. You can go over the corner a few times here. Cut it off. And then carefully hide the very end on the completely wrong side. The wrong side for us can be any side. They're the same here. So just pick one and hide it. The yarn really tends to catch. I really love, tying it like this. That is, make a loop, thread the end through, tie it, and then hide it. You can sew it down or not after you've tied it. You need a slightly different hook. And so you can hide the ends now, or you can do it later. I'll hide them later for now. With these parts that we started with. We are knitting the roof, joining the pieces together with the edges facing this way, those edges that we knitted only with the fancy yarn. And in fact, we will also be sewing them together with this fancy yarn. You can use a smaller hook, it will be more convenient. I took a size 3 hook, but we'll see. Maybe I should have used a 3.5. So our sewing will be quite free-form and very much unconstrained by strict patterns. We carefully insert the crochet hook into the very outermost edge, wherever you can comfortably place it. Then gently insert the hook under both loops of the stitch of our beautiful pieces. Grab the fancy colorful yarn and gently pull it completely through. And make a single crochet stitch. You can weave this end in. And we sew it together like this freely. Joining the 2 pieces and crocheting them together with single crochet stitches. Why are we doing this with this particular yarn? So that our roof bends well, meaning it will be very flexible in this regard. And that's it. We sew it together like this. Insert the hook under one. Of course, you can't see the stitches here. I can't see them either. And it doesn't matter. Here, you really have to work by feel. The main thing is not to get confused and not to lose a stitch, because if you lose one, So we keep going like this to the end of the row, and then we'll try the roof on too. Our little house. We'll hide the ends, and then we'll move on to the most enjoyable part, the decoration. All right, keep going on your own, and we'll meet at the end. I've successfully finished sewing the roof, and now you should carefully pull the working yarn completely through. I tuck it inside. Also tie it up. We tuck in the ends from all sides and we'll try it on. So, girls, I'm trying on the roof. Maybe I made it a bit too long. I could have made it smaller. But it really looks very nice like this. Here, you can gently twist it a little more flexibly, allowing you to make it much neater and more organized. You can easily make the snow mat in precisely the same way as you would the roof, only you absolutely don't have to knit it quite so tightly. That is, you can do it loosely in any centimeter range. It's generally best to make it the same width as the original as well, for consistency. It sticks out a little beyond the house, about a centimeter on each side. And it is about 8 centimeters in length approximately. I'll knit the second one now, and then we'll move on to the decor. I won't show all the decor on camera, but I'll mention a few things just to give you some guidance. Now we're moving on to knitting the decor, specifically this little wreath. For the beige house, I'll make it in red, and maybe the bow will be green. I'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll make it white. So let's get started. Take a thin cord, 2 to 2.5 millimeters. Mine is red, and I'm using a size 3 hook. We start the same way with a slip knot. Insert the hook from underneath, wrap it around, and make a slip knot. Chain 5 tight stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we bring this chain together like this. Like this. The tail is at the bottom, the working yarn is on top. Find it. The first bridge of your braid. The first braid. Now I'm focusing better. Here. Your braid, the first and the top bridge. You brought it in, tightened it, grabbed the working thread, pulled out the working loop, and threaded it through everything. There we go. Next, you have the following braid. Here it is, and its top bridge. Now we're going to crochet in the round continuously in a spiral using these bridges. They've settled nicely for me now. Let me show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, around in a circle. Watch very carefully now. You will find the very next bridge, then grab the working yarn. Pull it completely through everything with a single slip stitch. Move to the next bridge, right there. Insert your hook, pull the yarn through, and then another one. Insert the hook, pull through, and then another one. Carefully insert, then gently pull through, next insert, and finally pull through. And so on, and in this precise manner, you will continuously and gracefully move upward in a gentle spiral, gradually forming a charming caterpillar shape, which we will then carefully twist into a delightful ring and finally decorate with a pretty decorative bow. Everything here is as simple as possible. The only thing is you need to make it tight so that this wreath doesn't turn out loose. We're going to hang it on the door. So the length of this thing we're knitting, I can't tell you right now. I'll let you know once I've finished knitting it. We keep knitting until it twists nicely into a ring. Just like that. The main thing is not to miss any of the next bridges as you go along. And we keep going like this, about 7 centimeters up, I think, at least. And then we meet again. Here's what we've got so far, this kind of thing. Just like that. Here's the caterpillar we've made. This is how it curls up. Next, it shouldn't be too big. Mine turned out to be about 9 centimeters. As a reference, the diameter should be less than 1 centimeter. We can stop at any point, and we can just a little. By pulling out the tail, yes, we can sew our 2 pieces together. This is quite easy to do. You just simply thread it completely through the other side's bridges, allowing it to pass through smoothly and securely. On the opposite side. And you can certainly do this process several times if you wish to achieve the desired outcome. If your second additional tail is also quite long, you can certainly use it to secure the item as well, very effectively. And you can easily tie them all together and then carefully stitch them up securely. And this spot will be closed up. For now, you don't have to cut it off, but you can if you want. Do you know how to hide them? Just tuck them inside like this. That's what I often do. I use this pattern all the time in different projects. I really like it. It's both striking and easy. And actually, I hide the ends the same way. I just tuck them right inside like this. You can even do without stitching. You just simply trim it so it's like this, and it then stays completely hidden inside. And here we have a lovely little wreath, which we will carefully decorate with a beautiful bow. I really want to try making a 2-colored bow from a combination of white and green cord. We just make it like a regular bow, like this. Next, we carefully tighten it so that it looks aesthetically pleasing and perfectly neat. You need to check if it looks good. When we have a 2-color one, whether it looks nice or not, or maybe we should leave it white. So this point needs to be decided before the next step. Now we'll try it on the house again, so it will be more visible, and for now we don't cut anything here. So I added lighting inside the house. Honestly, if I put it like this, it doesn't look very good. I'll try making it purely green then. Of course, white would look nice here too. But so it doesn't blend in with the door, I'll make it green. So the bow is in green. It will probably be more appropriate here. Carefully cut the precise length that you will need for the decorative tails. Adjust the length of these loops as well, so this part is really up to your creativity. Be absolutely sure to carefully and meticulously singe these ends so that they look perfectly neat and tidy, since this is indeed the visible part of the item. Alright. Just like that. You can glue it on, for example, using a hot glue gun, or you can sew it on. I don't have glue or a glue gun, so I'll just sew it. Carefully. I choose a much more convenient and comfortable position. I'll secure it here. I took a green thread since after all, so I've secured it. Now we sew it on. We do this neatly so that we don't disrupt the composition itself. Carefully tie it into a beautiful bow properly. Do it very gently and quite neatly without being too overtly obvious, ensuring a perfect finish. It's incredibly tight here, making this task quite challenging, and I definitely need some assistance to manage it effectively. If you don't happen to have this essential metal thimble, which is typically used to protect your finger, then you will certainly need to perform this action in a specific alternative manner. And after that, we will carefully and meticulously sew it all up. Here's the beautiful festive bow that we carefully selected and proudly placed right on the front door, creating a welcoming and decorative touch. Just like that. Girls, the decor isn't sewn on yet, but it's incredibly convenient to use pins to just carefully mark things out for yourself, making sure everything is perfectly aligned and positioned before the final attachment. You see, I have everything pinned, so you can see how your composition will look. Now with the base and the little snowman, why did I put the snowman here? Because if you remove it like this is how your house will look. So if you have a snowman, it's best not to put anything on this wall because this is where your snowman will stand. Yes, so everything is pinned in place. You can easily sew it on with a needle and thread, or perhaps with a sturdy cord, or you can simply glue it into place, whatever method you personally prefer. Next, we will move on to the following wall section. For my child, well, unfortunately, everything is not centered. My child wanted me to fit in all these things. That's why, in fact, I'm making this for her. I don't really like the green Christmas trees here. The red ones are better. But for now, it is what it is. Here, there will be a composition like this. And I'll also make some curls out of cord. I'll film separately for you how I do that. And on this side too, according to my daughter's wishes, there will be something like this. Well, this needs to be adjusted here. Basically, we carefully sew all of this beautiful fabric on, yes, and then the charming little house will be completely ready. Girls, I decided to show you a bit of the decorating process. I carefully sewed the branch on with this particular beige cord of ours. I sewed the button on with white thread. I tied the wreath on simply with red. If the child approves, then I'll fix it in place. And now I'm sewing the snowflake on with this contrasting red thread. And I'll move on to the other walls. I'll show a few more things on camera. That's how we proceed. Independently. And we'll meet again at the end when our little house is completely finished. So I really want to show you in detail how I meticulously make these delicate little curls. And here, as you can clearly see, I do precisely the same intricate thing on this beautiful bell. I then carefully set it aside. I specifically take a generous 50 centimeters just to ensure I have more than enough of the wonderfully thin cord for this particular task. And First and foremost, we really need to carefully thread it, and then proceed. This is the blank, which serves as our bell. Alternatively, you might have something else entirely, perhaps a different decorative item or a small chime, and it will be positioned to hang directly and precisely above the window frame, so I will carefully need to thread the string or wire through the very center of it to ensure it hangs correctly and securely in place. Like this inside. One end of the cord, securely positioning it vertically in a straight line. The other one. That's very far. I'll pierce it now. Very far. It doesn't want to let me through. Oh. No, I brought it out right here again. Alright, then let it be this way. Okay. And I thread it in here. Now let's see what it will look like. So here the cord is distributed evenly. Well, that's fine. That's fine. And now we pull it out. We'll make a little belly. Like this. And we'll pull it out through this little hole. One cord is positioned here, and two additional cords are also present as well. And from this arrangement, we can meticulously create any desired composition from the primary cord in terms of these intricate kinds of beautiful curls. You lay out the cord like this. Now we're just going to do this chaotically. And you secure each curl with a pin. For example, next you'll have it like this. For you or for us, this is important. So right now it's just an impromptu, unscripted, on-camera moment happening spontaneously. And like, there you go, you can absolutely lay it all out exactly however you truly want it to be arranged. So here I'm just showing the principle. I'll lay it out differently. Yes, you need to lay it out so that it looks nice, not angular, not rough like that. And when you secure these spots, sew them with a needle and thread, it will hold together. So I've given you the idea, now do the rest on your own and we'll see what we've got. Girls, let me show you in detail how I have meticulously decorated this lovely house and what creative ideas I have thoughtfully come up with here. So here it is. I have placed a charming little decorative boot right on the festive bow, adding a delightful touch to the overall aesthetic. Here I made this kind of decoration. You can adjust this as you like. And here we have this little arrangement. Now I'll show you everything with the snowman. I'll turn on the garland, and with that, our house is finished. Dear girls, our winter house is completely finished. The video tutorial for the snowman will be posted separately. This is how beautiful this arrangement looks. This is truly the kind of wonderful creation you can lovingly create for your cherished loved ones, and of course for yourself. And I want to thank each of you who joined the New Year's collaboration, who purchased the masterclass, who created this New Year's fairy tale and shared it with me. I am truly, truly pleased that you liked this project. Thank you, girls, for your attention and for being with me. This was Oksana Rudko with you. My brand of knitted bags is La Accessory. See you at the next masterclasses.